Good morning. I taught marine biology this year for the first time. And I told the kids at the beginning of the year that the class would be completely organic. I learned as they learned. And the more I learned, the more I needed to learn. It became addicting. And what I thought was going to be a class about fish, the oceans, ecosystems, and the environment that all these organisms lived in completely changed. What happened was it had a profound effect on the way that I view this planet that we live on, this planet called Earth. We have entered a new epoch, the Anthropocene. The Anthropocene is a term that was coined by Eugene Stormer in the 1970s and later popularized by atmospheric chemist Paul Crutzen, and simply stated the Anthropocene is the fact that human activities have severely impacted our environment, biogeography, biodiversity, the climate. Geology has changed because of what human activity has done. And it got me to thinking, if you look at that picture, you really can't tell if that picture was taken 1,000 years ago, 100 years ago, or today. And that's the thing about the oceans, is that you can see the impact that human activity has had on land, because you can see it. You can see carbon monoxide emitting vehicles clogging our roadways. You can see deforestation. You can see smog. You can see pollution. You can see the melting ice caps. But what you can't see in the oceans is that our human activities have had a severe impact on the oceans. Our oceans are in peril. Acidification has caused the decimation of coral reefs and shellfish stocks globally. Overfishing has decimated fish populations to the point of near extinction. Pollution has damaged entire ecosystems as well as the food chains that live in those. And acidification of the oceans has severely impacted the chemical composition and delicate balance of the oceans. And you know what? It really made me angry. How could we let this happen? We work hard to preserve the earth that we live on, but I'm thinking, how could we let this happen? The more I learned, the angrier I got. But my anger got me nowhere. It got me absolutely nowhere. So I started reading about people who are angry like me. I watched their TED Talks. And you know what? Their anger was changed. The more I watched them, I realized that these people were not problem solvers. They were solution makers. They had become part of the solution. And it got me to thinking, is passion enough? Can it really save ourselves from ourselves? I think so, and so does Brent Smith. Brent Smith is a lifelong fisherman. He's been on the ocean since he's been 14 years old. When he was 14, he got a job on a fishing trawler, fishing for cod in the Bering Sea. He realized that what he was doing was not good for the environment. They were scraping the ocean floors, ruining entire ecosystems, throwing literally tons and tons of bycatch back into the oceans. And he said to himself, something is not right. I can't do this any longer. So he tried his hand at aquaculture. He got a job at a salmon farm in Canada. And he soon realized there too that they were destroying the ecosystem just in a different way. So he moved to Long Island, and he had an idea. He did something that nobody had ever thought of or had even attempted to do before. He designed, developed, and is now operating a 3D ocean farm. Brent quite honestly admits that he at one time was a raper of the ocean. And that's what commercial fishing is. They pillage the ocean, destroying fragile ecosystems. Knowing this wasn't right, he said, what I can do is actually help the ecosystem. Brent says his job is not to save the oceans and the seas, but to have the seas save us. So what he has done is he's developed this 3D farm. And it grows kelp, oysters, mussels, scallops, and even salt. And it's much more than growing crops, because what he has done is kelp absorbs 5 times more atmospheric carbon than land-based plants do. Shellfish and kelp require nitrogen to grow. So in that growing process, those plants and organisms pull harmful nitrogen out of the water. Brent then farms the kelp, processes it, and creates liquid fertilizer that is nitrogen rich that he sells to land-based farms. They use the fertilizer, thus eliminating harmful nitrogen runoff back into the water. He's created a closed ecosystem. And a byproduct of this whole process is that he has created an artificial reef, attracting hundreds of species of fish. So at one time was a barren, desolate, dead ecosystem is now a thriving ecosystem. Brent believed, he was passionate, and his passion shows in his work. This is Sean Heinrichs. Sean is a photographer, cinematographer, and a marine conservationist. He loves the ocean. He loves the organisms that live in it. Sean says that people are aware of what is happening, but his job is not to raise awareness. His job is to drive change and inspire action. And how does he do that? He's a scuba diver. And 20 years ago, he became intimately involved with the preservation of sharks. Over 100 million sharks are caught each year. And if you do the math, that's over hundreds of thousands of sharks pulled out of the waters each and every day. 70% of those sharks that are caught are used exclusively for their fins, to make shark fin soup. The rest of the sharks are thrown back into the water. He dove with the whale sharks in Indonesia. He was inspired by their awe, their beauty, their utter power. But whale sharks were being hunted close to extinction to make shark fin soup. He needed to do something. Now, the villages that actually fished for these sharks, these whale sharks, that was their sole source of income. So Sean approached the villages. He said, if you continue to fish whale sharks, they will disappear. Your livelihood will disappear. So with the help of the folks in the village, he established ecotourism in these towns, small towns in Indonesia. People travel to Indonesia to dive with these animals now. And they too can sense this sheer power, beauty, awesome, this of these animals. Isla Mujeres is an island off the coast of Cozumel. They were a whale shark fishing village as well. Sean helped them establish a very, very successful ecotourism business as well. The whale shark season in Cozumel brings thousands and thousands of divers each year. And they are making more money swimming with the whale sharks than they were catching the whale sharks. And we have seen the whale shark population rebound. But once again, we have an issue that he ran into when he helped the whale shark communities. How are they going to make a livelihood? Lamakera has no arable land. They cannot grow crops. Their sole source of income was manta ray gills. And if you remove that source of income, they won't survive. So Sean says, what if we get people to go and dive with the manta rays? Ecotourism. Now, Lamakera is literally in the middle of the ocean. It's a tough place to get to. So I'm thinking, let's see. The people of Lamakera have water, a lot of water. They have boats, a lot of boats that are sitting idle. They have 2/3 the makings of a 3D ocean farm. But I was missing one thing. This is Tony Malcolm. He owns a little piece of property in New York City, the Empire State Building. Built in the 1930s, the Empire State Building is a huge polluter. 38% of all carbon dioxide that's emitted into the atmosphere comes from buildings. 80% of the carbon dioxide that's emitted in New York City comes from buildings. Tony knew this. And Tony had a passion for the environment. He wanted to do something. So, he made it green. Not an easy undertaking for a building that's 107 stories. They retrofitted 6,500 windows. Took them all out, filled them with a carbon-argon gas mix. They installed 6,000 reflectors behind all the radiators. They upgraded the entire control system for the Empire State Building, and they changed every single light bulb in that building to LED. And it cost a lot of money. It cost $107 million to retrofit the Empire State Building to make it green. Now, Tony's a businessman. A businessman is concerned about the environment. So you have to wonder, what's in it for Tony? What's in it for Tony? He's helping the environment. The retrofit to date has reduced the carbon output of the Empire State Building from 25,000 metric tons a year, which is 22 pounds per square foot, by 7,000 pounds a year, metric tons a year. That's a 28% reduction in carbon emissions from the Empire State Building. But being a businessman, he's motivated by the almighty buck. Tony says the best way to move the needle when talking about the environment is the bottom line. If I'm not going to make money on this deal, what's the point? So Tony is a great example of somebody who is passionate about the environment and passionate about his wallet. He saw significant reductions in his electric bill, Empire State Building. His electric bill was $11 million a year. After the retrofit, His electric bill was reduced by $4.1 million a year. That's a 38% reduction in his bill. Tony had moved the needle. So, my anger kind of dissipated over the year, and my passion grew, but I continued to wonder, is passion enough? Can it save us from ourselves? And I didn't know what to do. I'm just one guy. What can I do to help save this earth, this planet that we live on, to save the oceans? And I throw my hands up in the air, and I look up, and there's the answer. Light bulbs. Light bulbs. Throughout the whole year, we built awareness in marine biology. I was full of awareness. And what good was it doing me? So, like Sean says, I need to inspire action and drive change. So I talked to the marine biology class and I said, I got this harebrained idea. What do you think about changing all the light bulbs in our school? Reducing the carbon footprint. And I saw the most amazing thing. They took action. They took action. They developed a plan on how we could change 643 light bulbs in this school. Presented it to the administration and encountered some problems. Granted. But Brent encountered problems. He overcame them. Sean encountered problems. He overcame them. Tony encountered problems, but he overcame them. It turns out that I and we had significantly underestimated the cost. And, it makes me think of a commencement speech that the founder of Dropbox gave to MIT in 2013, Drew Houston. He says that the most successful people really care about what they're doing. They care about it so much because it matters to them. And he draws the analogy of a dog chasing a tennis ball. He says, no matter what, no matter how tired, no matter what obstacles it encounters, it will always chase the ball. I have found my tennis ball. There were obstacles I needed to overcome. And it's still my goal to change all the light bulbs in this school. Now, several weeks ago, I was down in Mexico with some of my marine biology students. We were scuba diving. And I was standing on the beach at sunset, looking at Fetkenhour. And I was thinking about this talk today. And we really are standing looking out at new horizons. If something isn't done, and done very, very quickly, the changes that are occurring right now may become irreversible. It may be too late. We have to care. The oceans are the lungs of the earth. If we don't take care of the oceans, then it will no longer take care of us. The oceans are vast, huge. People think there's nothing wrong with them. They're too big. Yet, they are in severe peril. And it really upsets me. It really upsets me. But I can raise awareness all day long. What we need to do is drive change. And you can do that. And you ask how? Find one thing that really matters to you. It would be great if we could all go out and buy a Tesla. Not gonna happen. We recycle, we do this. But find one thing. And, from time to time I get discouraged. And I'm reminded of a Chinese proverb that says, better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. And I have to remember this, because if that one candle remains lit, I will find it in the darkness. I can take my candle and I can light it. Then there are two people with a candle. Two people with a candle. And hopefully others out there will see the light and they will come and they will light their candle. This is a serious problem. And if we don't work together to resolve it, and maybe so can passion save us from ourselves? I truly believe it can.